Candace Craw-Goldman from quantumhealers.com, and today we're exploring one of the Beyond Quantum Healing Freedom Principles, Freedom Principle number 4. This one aligns with many healers of today, and it feels pretty close to my heart. The freedom to mix modalities and use your own authentic energy in service to your clients. Before anything else, I want to honor Dolores Cannon and the beautiful simplicity of her method, because without the larger context and foundation of her discoveries, I would not have found myself creating a completely new approach. When Dolores taught QHHT, she made it very clear: you do not need to throw the kitchen sink at a client. You don't need a box of tools. You don't need gadgets. You certainly don't need what she called bells and whistles. That was her way of describing it. Her work was simple, it was direct, and it was profoundly effective. Do this, she taught. Do it the way I do it, she taught. That clarity changed the world. I really believe that. The accessibility of QHHT was one of its greatest gifts. And people flocked to Dolores because she created something powerful without making it complicated. And I want to emphasize that because the simplicity of her method remains sacred. It works. It's always worked. It still works. And many, many sessions are best served by keeping things exactly that straightforward. But over the years, something naturally began happening within the broader healing community. Practitioners started quietly coming to me saying things like, I love this work, but I've trained in so many other things. What do I do with all of this? Do I pretend I don't know Reiki when my client seems to be able to use it right in front of me? Do I not listen to my intuition, or maybe don't listen to my own guides in a session when they're telling me to do something different? Do I set aside my knowledge of breath work or use of crystals or light language or prayer? They didn't want to disrespect or replace Dolores' method, but they didn't want to pretend they were blank slates either. And they really didn't like the feeling that they had to hide something when they ended up accessing other approaches. And the truth is, many clients have also asked for these things. Some people generally love the bells and whistles. I've had clients bring their own crystals to sessions or tuning forks. And if those elements or other things help them relax, feel safe, or open their heart, and the client requests their use, well, who am I and who is anyone to deny them? Part of the very reason BQH came into being was to honor both truths at once. Yes, both of them. The beauty of simplicity, and yet the reality that practitioners are whole, living beings with skills, gifts, intuitive strengths that can deepen session work. Most quantum healers arrive already attuned to Reiki. Not all, but most. Many practice meditation, yoga, sound healing. Some love their crystal work or use light language. Some have light pads, red light tools, far infrared mats, or PEMF technology that prepare a body frequently directly before a session. And many of my Christian clients want prayer or combined prayer, or want to explicitly invite Christ consciousness or Jesus, Yeshua, into the space. For them, this is grounding and deeply comforting, and helps them connect to the deepest parts of themselves. There are an infinite number of ways healing can evolve and integrate. We can't even imagine what future modalities or scientific discoveries might support this work, maybe even years from now. Locking everyone into some sort of rigid box just doesn't make any sense, especially in this quantum world that is constantly expanding. And yet, Dolores' wisdom remains. Simple often is truly the best. Sometimes you need nothing more than quiet, beautiful process of guiding a client inward to their higher self. Some clients don't need or want anything extra at all. And in BQH, that's just as perfect. No kitchen sink required. The difference is that you're not being forbidden from being yourself. You're not required to ignore your gifts or prompts. You're allowed to be whole. I'm going to share with you now 2 sessions from my past that come to mind and demonstrate this freedom in ways that I never could have predicted. This first one was back around in 2012 during an in-person QHH trip that I made from Kansas when I was just living here the first couple of years down to Texas, down to Austin where I had been working. I'd had scheduled several back-to-back sessions, and one of those mornings I woke up with one of those really awful, severe back spasms. One of those deep, sharp, breath-stealing spasms that kind of locks your whole body up. There was no way I was going to reschedule, so I showed up and I perched myself sort of awkwardly on this stool, doing my best to relax. Now, despite my discomfort, this session unfolded beautifully. We reached the healing portion of the session, and that's when the client's higher self did something remarkable. It actually directed me, quite specifically and by name as I recall, to lay my own hands upon the client and add Reiki energy to the healing that was being offered by the SC, by the team of healers that were surrounding my client at the time. My hands felt an explosion of energy upon the client, and her body softened to open up even more and accept even more of this energy. Waves and waves of energy were running through the room, running through my hands, and then it slowly faded. The higher self then told me, matter-of-factly, to turn around and offer my lower back toward the client. I was so surprised. This was not something that I would ever ask for or anything I'd ever really imagined could happen in a session. But the guidance was unmistakable and very, very specific. Turn around, it's your turn. So I did turn around, and the client, still pretty much in trance, placed her hands and ended up being over exactly the correct spot on me that had been tormenting me all morning. And the relief, it was instant. It wasn't gradual. It was instant. Warmth and energy flowed through me, and the pain simply let go as if it had never even been there to begin with. I was stunned. The whole thing was just such a surprise. I remember sharing this session story with other practitioners on the original support forum of Dolores's. There was no admonishment at the time, only warm acknowledgement and celebration of the shared healing. Okay, and now there's this other session that surprised me in an entirely different way. This client arrived extremely nervous. She'd been emotionally traumatized, carrying the weight of a number of things, including her husband who was severely injured in an accident. And she also had some self-worth issues. I'm probably not going to do this right, kind of surrounded her before we ever even began. One of her core issues from her personality was combined with this recent trauma, this deep self-doubt and worthiness issue. So about 20 minutes into a really stilted, almost forced experience for her, after resisting every gentle suggestion I had to help her relax into the experience and let go, she began squirming and crying out of pure frustration. She was miserable. So I asked my guidance, and I thought to myself, yeah, I'm just going to ask her if she wants to sit up. And when she did, she immediately sighed with relief and said yes. I had her sit up, I had her sit in my chair, I sat her down, and I continued to follow my guidance. I stood behind her and offered her hands-on Reiki. Nothing formal or elaborate, just steady, supportive energy. I used the rescue position, the top of the head and the shoulder. Without performing, without the pressure of performing, she softened. Her breathing deepened, her energy settled in. And then this very palpable energy started filling the room. I really felt like my healing team, her healing team, were combining, surrounding her, and helping. And then something really extraordinary happened. Something has not happened before or since for me. As clear as a bell, I heard right in my head, our language of light will bypass the conscious mind. As she grew quiet, I found myself sharing that phrase with her, and then I found myself beginning to sing light language. It started as a whisper, a sort of chant. I was so surprised at what was coming out of my mouth. And then it kind of transformed into actual singing. Now, I was shocked as anyone could be because I am completely aware of my singing ability, or should I say lack thereof. I am not someone who casually bursts into song, unless I'm alone in my truck or on my horse, far away from other people. But this sound that came through me, it wasn't really my ordinary voice. It wasn't all me. It was gentle, fluid. This voice had a kind of luminosity to it. Whatever it wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't planned. It flowed through me like a soft current. And she dropped even deeper then into relaxation, just sitting right in front of me. I was connected to her with my hands this whole time. Her whole being shifted with this singing. And she started crying again, this time not from frustration, but with deep, profound sobs of relief. I'm still emotional thinking about it. It was so beautiful. I'm actually buzzing right now, reliving that beautiful moment. When we debriefed later, everything revolved around this healing energy and light language. She had carried lifelong beliefs that she was unlovable, unwanted, and never good enough. And the energy, and especially the singing, that unexpected, unexplainable singing, somehow broke through those beliefs and neutralized them completely. She said it was the most beautiful voice she'd ever heard. Still shake my head at that. She said she felt deeply loved during that experience. Something larger moved through the space that day and through me, and it was exactly what she needed for healing. And checking in with her more than once, and even weeks later, this peace and healing held, and she was even able to help her husband heal. And he wasn't supposed to make it at all. He was a man on a road crew and was hit at a very high rate of speed by some careless driver in a car. I hope they're doing okay now. I think they are. Now, both of these sessions taught me the same lesson. Healing doesn't care about rules. It doesn't care about the modality. It doesn't care about which modality belongs inside what container. It doesn't care whether the practitioner is supposed to be the giver or the client the receiver. The healing moves when the field is open and both people are present. BQH was built to honor that reality and that magic. It doesn't require you to complicate anything, okay? But it also doesn't force you to ignore these special things that happen or ignore your talents or unexpected gifts from unseen realms. I mean, what was that? What could have happened if I would have tried to stick to the rules on that last session, right? You are allowed to bring your whole self to this work and be open to more. You're allowed to trust the moment, trust the guidance, trust the energy that moves through you and around you. And if you'd like to explore this kind of work with a supportive, open-minded, guru-free community, you can come visit us at quantumhealers.com. We're open for all healers to join us, BQH or not. Thanks for spending time with me today, and I'll see you in the next Freedom Principle video where we wrap up the series with Freedom Principle number 5. Thanks so much for joining me today, and see you next time.